10:04 on your Tuesday morning. Welcome to Chicago Now. I have the pleasure of being joined by Natalie Bomke. We kind of match.
We do. I know.
Match. I did my quick change. My little
like
Mr. Rogers routine that I do after
I was
the news.
thinking how fun that would be, though, if you were sitting up here in a suit and tie and we're trying to do a really relaxed kind of show.
No, it helps me relax to go cash instead of the, dressing like a banker.
Yes.
Yes. You have been to Wayfair, haven't you?
I have shopped on Wayfair. I have not been to Wayfair.
Okay, but you're a fan.
Yes, there are two locations, in our area. There's the one up in Winnetka. That's the
by
outlet,
me.
right?
By
And then
me. It's
there's
in
Wilmette, I'm sorry. And then there's one in Naperville that is just the regular Wayfair store.
So we are going to be joined by someone from Team Wayfair, and they have actually fully furnished a home. And this is a feel-good story for a needy family. They teamed up with the Bulls to do that. So I'm really curious to see the after photos here, because I as well have never been to the physical location, but we've shopped online for Wayfair stuff from time to time. Also, something interesting, and I want to get your wheels turning on this, Nat. On Reddit, there was a category this morning it's titled Extremely Minor Quibbles About Chicago. And there's some interesting responses, so I want you to start turning those wheels. It took me a little bit to land on mine, but I think I have figured out what I would change about the city. And then, have you been following the Karen Reed trial beyond what we do on Good Day?
I've actually been surprised at how much interest in it there is.
Yes.
There is a lot, and how many updates, and it's gone on for so long because the first trial was a mistrial, and now she's back, and now the jury's deliberating, and they've been deliberating for, I think it was like 9 hours the other day. So there's a lot to unpack there.
There's a lot to unpack, and we are going to unpack that with Karen Conti, she's always got some very interesting perspective on this. And I remember last time we checked in on the Karen Reed trial when the retrial was first starting out. She described how this one has all the elements of drama that are needed, And so we're going to be checking in with Karen a little bit later in the hour. But before that, we got to get to some other trenders that are trending locally here in Chicago. And the first one is for all the foodies out there. The James Beard Awards unfolded last night. They were held at the Lyric Opera House, and this is they call it like the Oscars of the culinary world.
How fun to be a part of this, right? And several, they don't all go to Chicago bars and restaurants, right? They go to bars and restaurants all over the country.
Oh, yeah.
But several of our local restaurants did get awards last night. The West Loop Japanese Dining Bar, Kamiko, that won the prize for Outstanding Bar. And Best Chef, Great Lakes, went to Chicago chef Noah Sandoval of Oriole. There's a sidebar to both of those. Earlier this year, Southside favorite Lem's Barbecue earned a 2025 honor as an America's Classics awardee. Ooh. The sidebar is I wanted to look at the menus. Because as you do before you go to any restaurant, I like to look at the menu.
Yeah, you log online.
Online ahead of time. That way, if I want to kind of converse with whoever I'm there with, I can focus on that and not so much like looking at the menu. I found, interestingly enough, for both Oriole and Kamiko, no menu listed online. No menu.
Really?
And especially with Kamiko, because they won for Outstanding Bar, and I thought, I want to see what kind of drinks they're serving.
Maybe they're so fancy that the menu is rotating so often that they can't post it.
It's top secret. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I found that interesting.
Have you been to any of the winners?
No, I don't think I've ever been to any of the winners.
I haven't either. I'm surprised I haven't been to Lem's. That's the one. See, I'm a man of simple tastes, as you know. I would love to go down to the South Side and try that. If that's an America's Classics awardee, they're doing something.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's more my comfort zone than going to a really, really fancy spot where I don't know how to pronounce anything on the menu. I'm like, what is that? What is that?
But these days, have you found that every restaurant almost you go to, there's something or 2 or 3 or 4 things on the menu that you're like, I have no idea what that is.
Absolutely.
Whether it's on the drink menu or the food portion.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I don't know. Like my husband, we go to this Italian restaurant. Like we rarely go out, okay? Rarely. This was 2 weeks ago. We went to this Italian restaurant downtown, and there were he's like, do you know what you're going to order? I'm like, I have no idea, because what I think I want to order, there are like 2 things in the description that I have no idea what they are.
Mm-hmm. Like two ingredients where you have to clarify, hey, is that...
Yeah, like get out the Google.
Exactly. No, I've been there too. I actually do like your strategy, though, of checking out the menu when possible ahead of time, because then you don't have to concentrate on that during the meal. You can visit with the person that you're with, because what I find happens all too often is we'll be out to dinner. The waiter or waitress will come around periodically. Hey, are you guys ready yet? And I'm like, oh no, because I'm too busy conversing.
And then you make a choice that you may not be happy with.
You're like
in the
panicking.
end. A panic choice.
Man, but your strategy does come with like a lot of forethought, which I don't always
think about
have.
it. I like it.
Do you think that people appreciate how tough, in lieu of these awards, how tough the restaurant industry can be behind the scenes?
You know, with The Bear, the show, that's filmed here in Chicago,
Yeah.
I think we have a better understanding. And there's so many of those reality shows too, especially here on Fox with Chef Gordon Ramsay that showcase just how tough it is.
Yeah, there has been some content created in recent years about how tough it is, so I think those do help. I remember reading a book way back in the day. It was called Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. This is before he was a TV star. Remember Anthony Bourdain?
Of course, yes.
Yes, before he did the CNN shows. He wrote that about his initial experience at a restaurant in New York City. I remember just thinking, wow, that is a wild environment, and I would never want to work in that environment if I were a woman. That was the whole takeaway back. It's like, to be in that environment, period, is tough, but the portrait that he paints of what it's like to be a female in that environment, in like a working kitchen back in I think he wrote it in like the 80s. It was like,
well, if
would not wish that on anyone.
No, Ratatouille. Have you seen the movie?
No, I have not seen Ratatouille. Is that the animated one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of it.
Which is just like real life, Aside from the talking rat, I'm sure it follows every restaurant storyline. But there is the only female chef in the kitchen, and she talks about, do you know how long and hard it took me to get to this position, and I'm not about to give it up. So I like her character.
I like the sound of that character. On that note, have you ever spent time in the restaurant industry? Have you ever worked in a restaurant?
Thank goodness for everyone in Chicago, no, because there would be a pandemic of food poisoning if I did.
No, Nat. I mean, the thing is, I don't have the brain power to do that either. You're ever at a table with someone who memorized, like a server who can memorize the whole table?
Yes. How do they do that? I'm always amazed. I always say, now, do you remember that? Should I test you? Because I don't want to get my order
and then
wrong.
you get some people that are like, it's right up here. I wonder what
Right.
their strategy is. If they're picturing it visually in their mind, all
don't know.
the conditions, like, hey, light cheese on that, or no cheese on the salad, or extra.
I would almost rather they write it down, though, because I get nervous. I get nervous when I see, okay, got it. I'm like, but do you really have it?
I don't get nervous if they're not nervous. Anyway, and then here's another question on the table here. Is a restaurant's accolades something you care about when deciding where to eat?
No, because normally it's a McDonald's, I don't even look at the Yelp reviews.
No.
Do you look at the Yelp reviews?
Yeah, I think so. When we're trying to improvise, let's say on vacation, we'll do the Yelp thing, and then if it's in the 4-star range, I think that's good, because it comes down to so many other factors. Is it convenient, the price, and then also the location?
Yeah. My husband always looks at the Yelp stuff, and I never look at it. So
hey, you're a good team then.
Yeah, I could have eaten at that place. Do you remember the guy accidentally cut his finger off and put it in the chili at that Wendy's years ago? Big news story.
That's not a.
See, I would be the person.
That's not an urban myth.
No, it really happened. I would be
Wow.
the person dining at that restaurant because I wouldn't have read the Yelp reviews.
Oh my
I would have
gosh,
no
okay,
idea.
That's why you need Ed.
Yeah.
All right, Nat, another question for you. Not sure if you've ever been to the Louvre in Paris. You ever
I've never been to Paris.
gone through the...
Have you?
I did go.
And what was the Louvre like?
The Louvre was massive. It's an old French palace. I mean, I think the royalty used to live there before it was converted into a museum. I learned today on Good Day Chicago it is the most visited museum in the entire world, with good reason. Everyone's there to see
the Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa's there, and then
David,
the Venus
too, right?
de Milo
Okay.
sculptures there. David is in France.
Okay.
I'm sorry. In Florence. I knew it would start with. It's in
Okay.
Italy. It's in Florence. But the folks, imagine being in the museum and all of a sudden there's just a mass exodus and you're told to leave immediately. This happened in Paris at the Louvre yesterday. We reported this on Good Day Chicago, everybody. Look at this. Don't! The Louvre Museum in Paris is closed due to a strike.
I
Bought
love
our
that
tickets
man's creative
today.
photo.
Yeah, he's got the world by the threads.
And you know he's a
there.
happy guy with that heart tattoo.
He's got Jason Kelsey vibes.
Yeah, he does.
Anyone know what's really going on? Is this some Da Vinci Code BS?
No, so, oh, that's pretty funny. So, the workers went on strike.
They went
right?
on strike. You know, are the workers always going on strike in France? Because the one time I was there,
was it transit?
yes, it was a train strike. Exactly.
That's,
middle of the
right.
trip, there was a walk-off, and we were stranded in Nice. Actually, it's a decent place to be stranded.
Right.
But we were on the train platform. I've never been to Nice proper. I've been to the train station there because all the workers walked off the job, and I think we were en route somewhere else. But yeah, this is apparently happening. Just a day earlier, anti-tourism protests swept across southern Europe. Anti-tourism.
Apparently, it's getting too busy for them. And I think, Venice was one of the places. And one of them, they're actually squirting tourists with water guns to show their displeasure.
This is so interesting. I would love to get the Jason and all the team members from Choose Chicago who come on Good Day. I would love to get their perspective because tourism has bounced back here in Chicago after the pandemic. We're back to like the hotel, I think capacities are approaching or at pre-pandemic levels. But we have a whole like bureau of trying to attract folks here. So you're telling me it's an embarrassment of riches in Paris right now? They don't go back to America.
Right, they don't want you.
Oh my gosh.
Back to the museum strike, it reminded me of some of the plight of museum workers here in Chicago because we've had several that have tried to form unions.
Yes.
They've run up against resistance.
Yes.
They haven't gone on strike, but they've certainly rallied for representation.
This is so interesting, though. Like here we go. According to the union at the Louvre, or the workers, I'm not sure if they're unionized, but water leaks, dangerous temperature swings, outdated infrastructure, and foot traffic much beyond what the museum can handle.
Why are they not giving only a set amount of tickets, like a fire code kind of thing? Like we can only have this many people in at a time?
That's an interesting
It shocks me that they wouldn't do that.
All right, so every day, you mentioned the Mona Lisa here. Nat, every day thousands of people flock to see that painting just to snap a photo and say, I saw that, post it online. Do you think the appreciation of popular tourist sites have gone down with social media making things viral?
I would think it's only made it more popular because you think, I got to see that for myself. And the Mona Lisa, I mean, it's one of those things. You don't say like, well, I saw that Fred posted that on Facebook the other day, so I don't need to go see it in person.
Yeah, no, I think I agree.
Because everybody says it's really small in person.
It is actually smaller than you think.
You know?
You think it's going to be like, 24 by 36 size. It's like, if memory serves, it's like.
Yeah, small.
But Da Vinci carried that thing around in a portfolio for years. This is what I in adult life, this is well after seeing the thing as a college kid, I read a biography of Leonardo da Vinci, and he carried that thing around for years, just perfecting it.
Really?
Yeah, just putting tweaks. I don't think he ever stopped.
It's like he's obsessed
Yes,
with it.
exactly. But that may be why it's so spectacular. It does kind of, I think, maybe because you've seen it so much in pop culture over the years, when you see it in person for the first time, you're kind of like, wow. It does kind of like take your breath away. But I don't know if it's because it's just a masterpiece or if it's a combo of it being a masterpiece and it being so ingrained in you already that to see it in person the first time really affects you.
Is there something that you like is on your bucket list of seeing that maybe you saw on social media and you're like, wow, that looks really cool?
Ooh, great question there. You know, I've never been over to Japan. I went to Southeast. We've both been to Thailand. We've talked about this, but those shots of Mount Fuji. Oh. You know what I mean? It like looks. It's so dramatic. It looks like the Paramount Mountain. I would love to see that. I would love to go there and do that whole thing.
Yeah.
How about you?
I am. You know, my husband and I both are fascinated with technology, and he's always talked about Singapore and Malaysia.
Oh, so we're both in
being really technologically advanced, like a very cool
Yeah.
tech city. And with Singapore, I do those weekly Brookfield Zoo Chicago segments, you know, with President and CEO
Yes,
Dr.
yes.
Mike. And lo and behold, he went to Singapore not that long ago. They've got this amazing zoo there. He said it rains all the time. And so throughout the entire zoo, which he said is broken into like 5 different, it's like Disney World, but it has like 5 different worlds, the zoo.
Yeah.
There's a canopy throughout the entire thing so you don't get wet.
No way.
Yes.
So they have like separate indoor, almost like domes for each different like climate or continent, something like that?
I don't know how it's parsed out, like what the different worlds are,
Yeah.
you know, but he was explaining like it's just so large. But between each of whatever the habitats, there's a canopy that you kind of can stay under in case it rains.
Oh my gosh, that does sound intriguing. Okay, well, good stuff.
Yeah.
We are going to go to a quick break right now, but I'm super excited, and I know you are too, Natalie, for our friends at Wayfair to come on and show us this after shot. They have completely redone the interior of a family that is going through a chapter right now. They're transitioning between temporary and permanent housing. So they got a little help from Chicago Bulls and Wayfair. And we're going to see these stunning images and talk to a representative from Wayfair when we come back. So stay with us.
Hey, welcome back to Chicago Now. Thanks so much for joining us today. This story is so great. So there's a family that was transitioning from temporary to permanent housing here in Chicago. And to help them out, Wayfair teamed up with Chicago Bulls and a local nonprofit called Humble Design. And together they transformed this empty space into a fully furnished home, complete with personalized touches. They had thoughtful design, even some help from Bulls guard Talon Horton Tucker. So that's pretty awesome. Joining us now to talk about the project and why it matters is Megan Lauren. She is brand manager at Wayfair. Hi, Megan.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me.
Megan, where are you joining us from right now?
I am joining from Wayfair's headquarters in Boston.
All right. Well, I live not far from the Wilmette location that just went in, and I haven't stepped foot in the store yet. I've perused the website many times. But Megan, before we see this design and kind of how you guys transformed the space, can you tell us the backstory of this family and kind of their circumstances and how this all unfolded?
Absolutely. So, at Wayfair, we genuinely believe that everyone deserves a home they love. And we've worked now a few times with the incredible folks at Humble Design, which is a nonprofit that finds families who are transitioning from unhoused situations into permanent housing. And so we were able to partner with Humble and our friends at the Chicago Bulls to find this incredible family. It's a single mother with four children, ranging from a toddler to a 17-year-old, and move them into an incredible 5-bedroom home and
Wow.
outfit it with everything that they needed, everything that spoke to their passions and styles.
So show us the finished product. Do you have that?
Yes, so I think we're looking at some
Ah.
photos right now of this 5-bedroom apartment with all of the things that this family needs. The reactions from them on their move-in day were just incredible. Getting to see some of the, living room space that we're looking at right now that had the touches that spoke to the mom's desire to just have a fresh space for her kids to be able to feel free and start over. And then you see the Bulls touches. The teenage son, we learned, was a huge Bulls fan. So between us and our partners at the Bulls, we got some great memorabilia in there for him. And it was just a delight to outfit each of these bedrooms for these kids exactly as they needed.
That's so cool. What was that process like? How much collaboration happened between Wayfair and the Bulls and the family members themselves?
Quite a bit. So the folks at Humble actually started with an interview with the mom to kind of get to know the family. And that's when we learned that her teenage daughter was really into doing makeup. Her son was a huge Bulls fan. And so at that point, we worked directly with the women at Humble and our friends at the Bulls. We had a shopping spree day at the store in Wilmette where Taylor Horton Tucker did join us to be able to just shop for everything these kids and this mother needed. And we really kept those initial interviews in mind. We got an incredible vanity for the daughter who we learned loved to do her makeup. We got some good basketball memorabilia for the son, some nice touches for the living room, family room, and the mother's sanctuary of a bedroom.
Why is it so important for Wayfair to get involved in projects like this?
At our core, as I said, we genuinely believe everyone deserves a home they love, and we really just want to make it easy for everyone everywhere to outfit their homes in a way that speaks to them. So, all of our social impact work has been grounded in working with other partner organizations who share that belief and share those values. So, this was a dream come true to work with Humble Design and the Chicago Bulls to really ground ourselves in the Chicago community too, where we have our store in Wilmette. So really cementing ourselves in this community is so important to
I
us.
kind of want to ask you about the store itself.
Yeah.
I take responsibility for not having gone yet. My wife and son have stepped in. He calls it the Purple Store. Gerald calls
Yeah.
it the Purple Store. It's right near where he takes swim lessons. But what was the thing that inspired the company to move from over online retailer to having these brick and mortar stores?
Yeah, we know that in a lot of cases, people want to touch and feel the furniture and the things that they're bringing into their home. So, the incredible 150,000 square foot space that we have there in Wilmette is the perfect opportunity for folks to do that. I've been in the store a few times myself, including that shopping spree day. And let me tell you, it is inspiration from the second that you walk in the door. So, it's a great opportunity for folks to come in, see maybe something that they didn't know they were looking for, but get inspiration from Wayfair's incredible selection right there on the floor.
You are speaking my language. I always see some. I didn't know I needed that, but I
That's
think I
right.
can't live without it. Can people get a good deal if they visit the store there or in Naperville?
Absolutely. So, a number of the promotions that you'll experience online will also come through in the stores. So, you'll see marked down items right there on the floor. And then there are plenty of store specific deals and sales that you'll have to head out to Wilmette to catch for yourself.
Megan, before we let you go, what is next in terms of these kinds of collaborations? I love seeing these transformations. I love seeing the expressions on the family member's face. That girl when she saw her room, that was so
excited.
cute. She was so excited. Can we expect more of this from you guys going forward?
Absolutely. We are so lucky to be longstanding partners now with the Chicago Bulls. So we're looking forward to more community programs in the coming years with the Bulls. And we have made it a goal to prioritize partners like Humble Design, other partners like Connections for the Homeless, and other nonprofits that we've worked with in the past who are helping people transition into full-time housing situations. So absolutely, you will see more from Wayfair and these sorts of partners.
All right. Thanks so much, Megan, for
Good to
joining
know.
us.
Megan, nice to
Thank you
see
guys
you.
so much. Thank you.
Have a great one. And yeah, I do have to, I drive by it constantly and I just haven't quite made it inside.
Yeah.
But you've been to the Naperville one? Is that
No,
what you
I drove by
Oh,
it.
you drove
'Cause
by
it's
it,
right
okay.
by. So I love, when I go to Naperville, I always check out the CB2 and Crate and Barrel outlet, which is a hidden gem. Never pay full price for anything at Wayfair or CB2 because I guarantee you they will have this at the outlet and it's like really marked down.
Really? Like what kind of
Couches,
percentage marked down?
beds. It depends on how long it's been there in the store. So I think the longer it's there, the more marked down it is. But like, what was it? I saw this giant planter. I was there over the weekend, actually. A giant planter. Most of the stuff is not damaged, but this particular planter was damaged. But it was one of those things where you could just turn it around.
Yeah, no one will ever see it.
Online, the thing is like hundreds of dollars. It was $99.
That's the kind of thing.
So-
That's great.
But you
That's
can
great.
find better deals than that. I know 99 bucks is still
All right,
expensive.
putting it
but
on the list. All right, we're going to explore the Reddits when we come back after a very short break, including the, I think this is a very interesting question for everybody who is local. Your extremely minor quibble about Chicago. We're going to dive into some of these interesting responses when we come back. All right, welcome back. It is now 10:33 here on Chicago Now, alongside Natalie Baumke on this beautiful but hot Tuesday. I'm not looking forward to this heat this week at all.
You know, I'm going to try to get out in it. How bad have the mosquitoes been?
I've got one bad one on my
Okay.
knee right now.
Is
I
it-
don't even want to touch it because it'll re-aggravate it.
Yee.
But yeah,
That's a
I only have
determining
one right now.
Determining factor for me is how bad are the mosquitoes, as whether or not I'll get outside.
Okay. All right. Well, I think they're going to be bad. Well, the thing is, there
Yeah.
haven't been a lot of standing water. That's a good thing,
Yes.
right? Because they breed in standing water. Oh,
Yeah.
that's no good. All right. Before we get to the Reddits, we have a very, very special shout out. Our brand new weather reporter and Chicago Now producer extraordinaire, Jenna Carroll.
There
Watch her
she
get
is.
hoisted. Watch her get
Okay,
hoisted
I
right
can't wait to
now.
see this. Wow.
It is her B-day today.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Jenna.
birthday, Jenna. She's been having a blast on the show. There she is.
Why
along
was
with
I not
Delaney.
invited when the rugby players were here?
Hey, you know what? They
is it
were.
the restraining
I was
order,
dwarfed
the
by those
10-foot
rugby players. They're the
Anytime
gals.
you have men in short shorts, please do not hesitate
Call
to invite
Natalie
me back.
Baumke.
That's right.
Anyway, happy birthday, Jenna. We miss you back here. We miss you. I don't know when she's coming back either. I think there's a party going on that she's a part of right now.
I'm sure she will be back.
Next week she'll be back.
Next week she will be
Thanks,
back, I
Delaney.
hear. All right, so that's a major quibble. We're talking about minor quibbles now. Jenna gone being, that's a major one for me. The Reddits are aflutter right now with a bunch of folks commenting on, I love a good question. You know, as a journalist, I love a good question, a good pointed question. Your extremely minor quibble about Chicago. No one cares but you. It's a tiny thing, a local pet peeve that exists in your brain. You love it here, but this is silly. Okay, so here's the example this person gives. The original Billy Goat's double cheese only has one slice of cheese. This goes against the definition and spirit of the double cheese.
Is it
Otherwise, perfect burger.
Is it like a double patty with a slice of cheese and that's what makes it a double? I'll bet, right?
You are a smart individual.
I don't know about that,
I think you just hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
Because I think you're right. It's a double cheese.
A double
that means
burger
it's a
with
double
one
patty.
cheese. Right.
They should probably go double cheese.
I mean,
on it,
because
too.
would you do burger, cheese,
Yes.
or burger, cheese?
I would go burger, cheese,
Okay.
cheese. What would
Yeah.
you do?
I think I would go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you're right. And I think if that person who posted that heard you say that, they might be like, oh, they're talking about the patty. You know, I just thought of a quibble on that note.
Okay.
But this isn't local to Chicago. This may be nationwide. So like when you go to Subway, sometimes you get like a messy sandwich, you know, with either a meatball sub or like, you know, mayo and mustard on
I like
there.
the sweet chicken teriyaki myself.
That's a great one, and
Yeah.
that can get messy, right?
Yes.
With the teriyaki sauce. Is it just me, or are they very stingy with their napkins? Like I'll order a huge sandwich and get one napkin.
I
or
normally,
two, tops.
with children, head to that dispenser and make it rain. I'm
They
like
don't
making
have-
it
they
rain
don't
with
have
those
the
napkins.
dispenser at some of them. You have
Do
to
they not?
ask.
Okay.
And so this has always existed in my brain, but now I've got a venue to vent right now. You've
Yeah.
never noticed that?
I don't know
the
that
stingy napkin policy there?
I don't know that I go enough. The other thing is, I'm one of those people that will go to Subway and get a salad.
Oh my gosh,
And so
Natalie.
I know, but they always give you free saltine crackers, which is a
So
bonus.
you get your carbs there.
You know,
All right,
you
did
get something free. How often do you get something free?
I want to, while you jog your mind about your quibble, I'm going to run through some comments on this post, riding off of the whole, that person's complaints about the double cheese. The handful of L stops that still have exit-only stairs on one side of the street in this era of venture cards. Like, come on, let me in. I definitely agree with that. There's a bunch downtown where you have to, you know, it's the only you have to cross the street to get the
I see.
actual entrance.
Yes.
Yeah, and they should be two.
Wait
two-way.
a minute, though. Isn't the train going in that direction, though? It's
Yeah.
on that side. That's why the entrance stairs are on that side.
Yes,
Because if you entered through the exit, your train would be on the other side of the tracks.
Unless
You
they
wouldn't
have a
even be on the
little
board.
pedestrian footbridge over the track.
Oh, and then you could do it.
Yeah,
But that
but
to me
you're
makes sense.
generally right, and then
Okay.
hopefully because there's some subway platforms where the platform itself is in the middle, so no matter what direction you get on from, you're in the middle between the north and southbound tracks, or the east and westbound
Yes.
tracks, so you're fine. But I do know, I can't think of them offhand, but I relate to this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a legit quibble.
Well, and the other one, too, along those lines was
Mm-hmm.
just how loud some of the L trains can be. And specifically the blue line to O'Hare, it's like they said it's like you're riding a wooden roller coaster, and
Yeah.
like how the tourists, how terrified they must be.
I remember my brother-in-law was visiting, this is years ago, from Lincoln, Nebraska, and we lived at the time right along the Brown line.
Oh.
And he was like, how do you stand that racket?
How do you?
You get used to, you know how you can get nose blind?
Uh-huh.
When there's a bad smell, like you just get used to, you get what's it called? Ear blind or whatever. Your ears get used to it. We kind of live near a train now, the metro, which is can be really loud, but you somehow, I mean, I don't know if this is for everyone, but your brain
I think that would make
tunes
me
it out.
crazy.
Yeah.
When I was first moved here to Chicago, I wanted to live close to the station. And so I moved to Lakeshore East over here, and it was at the time when they were building that GEMS World Academy, and so it was going up next to me. So I was in a high rise, like on the 16th floor, and it was going up next to me, another high rise, the
man.
school. The kids would have recess on the 13th floor, okay?
Oh,
so right
so you
below
got
my
that
bedroom
recess
window,
noise.
as I'm trying to take a nap, because I do the morning show, I come
Yeah.
home, I'm tired,
Oh, no.
ready to relax, and I got kids screaming at recess on the roof of the building.
No.
What are the odds?
That's
The crane
unfortunate.
operator was also looking directly into my window.
That's
for
no
the time.
bueno either.
No, because while they were
Okay.
building, he was right there, so I always had to keep an eye out for him.
My brother has a similar complaint, but it involves the gas-powered leaf blowers during his nap, because he's on the morning shift as
gosh,
well,
yes.
and he has had to deploy one of those massive box fans. You know, those big box fans. Clicks that on, you know, in the middle of the day, so that drowns out the noise.
You know, we did a story not too long ago here where they were looking at an ordinance in some community where it would only be designated
Yes.
one specific
Yes.
day. Because, you know, in my
With the electric or with the gas-powered leaf
'Cause
blowers,
it could
absolutely.
be all week long.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You
down
know?
down our street, you just see one truck after another landscape, and it can drive you nuts. But I think our municipality has implemented one of those like
Okay.
hour, or at least designated hours or seasons.
But it's not just
for
like
it.
Tuesday and Thursday they can do it or whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's another minor one. Okay, so the one that I thought of, and this, I don't know if this is minor or major, but the L goes, speaking of L, it goes, so from the north side, I wish there was an east-west one where it could like take you out. I mean, I know the blue line goes out to O'Hare, but you have to go all the way into the city in order to catch that. And there's no metro line. There's nothing that connects. It's like the city is the hub, and it feels like in Chicago the transit lines are all spokes, right? They go out from the hub, but there's no like connective tissue.
I see.
Does that make sense to like?
To the other lines?
Yeah, and to go more east-west to and from the lakefront. It feels like unless you're downtown, you can't get via public transportation on any of the
I'm
trains.
thinking like you can take the L out to like Forest Park and Oak Park
Yeah, but from downtown?
from downtown.
Right, but like, okay, what if you're
And then, like-
what if you're down south? What if you're in Hyde Park and you want to get to Forest Park?
I know
or
what you're
something?
saying. You gotta
You
go
have to go
into the
in
city and then
back
out.
Same with the
I
metro.
like
You got to
this.
go.
We're both doing the.
You got to go in and back out. So
constellations.
I wish there was more
I get it.
like east-west access. That's
Yes.
one. And then this is super specific to me, Nat.
Okay.
I wish there was more than one local tortilleria. Okay, so we have Milagro, right?
Yes.
And they make great
delicious,
tortillas.
yes.
It's a great product.
Corn and flour,
Yeah,
amazing.
corn and both the corn and flour go to, right? They need a little competitor. They need a little something, another like to keep everyone honest. You know what I mean? Like another. We were talking about Texas yesterday, and at all the there were a couple guests in the studio who were from Texas. They were Tina Wins, her childhood band director, and his son came in and they were hanging out. They're from Texas. We were talking about the grocery stores. You know how like Mariano's around here, they've got the fresh squeezed grapefruit juice, and the
Yes.
fresh squeezed,
The juice
and that's
bar.
become a thing. All right, so down in Texas, all the grocery stores, this chain called HEB.
I've been there. I used to shop there.
Did they have the homemade tortillas, like the fresh rolled tortillas in the dough? They have the tortilla machine
I know
on
what
the
you're
conveyor.
saying. I don't
and
recall
you
that
get-
when I was there, but maybe I was there so long ago that they didn't have it yet.
It's now a thing, and you can buy it for really cheap. It's like just a couple bucks. Warm, fresh, off the conveyor belt tortillas, and they are absolutely delicious. And I'm talking about like my grandma on my dad's side made unbelievable homemade tortillas. She used to like hand them out. These stack up to that. Here we go. Thank you,
Wow.
Delaney. $5 for
Okay.
20. Not for 20 of them. That's not bad at all. And they are absolutely delicious. Mariano's, Jewel, if you are listening right now, this is my quibble. Milagro has got a monopoly around here. It's a monopoly. We need that. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
I'm
no,
gonna
that's
stop.
all right.
I'm
but
so
that was
sorry.
that's a reach, and
I've been
I like
hogging
it.
the floor.
No,
Nah,
it's you know what?
over.
It's the only one that I have, and I brought it up a couple like a week ago with Caitlin. Is the traffic lights are not timed around here.
Oh.
And so, you know, you can head. Where do I always go when I come in? Caitlin was saying when she comes in on Columbus or Lakeshore Drive, obviously
Okay.
they're timed, but anywhere else in the city, okay, for example, if I'm on Grand or something and I'm heading out, I'm heading west, you got to stop almost every light.
Even if there's,
If you're on Ashland, Western, any of those streets, I mean, you're like, eek, you're like, eek, and I'm like,
there.
just time the lights. We know you can do it. You do it on the other roads. And like,
listening? Is there someone out there listening?
and I last worked in Houston 12 years ago, and their lights were timed. They're the fourth largest city. We can do it here in Chicago too.
They did it. Why can't we do it? All right, very good stuff. I agree with that, by the way. I
Okay.
definitely agree with that. All right, we're going to go to a short break right now, but coming up, we have our in-house legal expert, Karen Conti, and she is going to break down the latest developments in the Karen Reed trial, which is, it feels like this has been making headlines for a long time now, a couple years, right? It's a very salacious case here. We're going to check in with Karen. When we come back, stay with us.
So we are updating the Karen Reed trial right now. This is, I mean, it's attracted worldwide attention. If you have not followed it, it is the case of this woman who is accused of hitting her police officer boyfriend in the evening with her SUV, leaving him for dead. He did end up dying. This was back in 2022. The first case was a mistrial, so she was brought back, retried, and I think as of late, the jury has been deliberating for like 9 hours. Yesterday, I think that was the first day of deliberation, so could it end in another mistrial? We wanted to get more information on this. Karen Conti, defense attorney, joins us right now. Good morning, Karen.
Hey, Karen.
Good morning, Nat and Anthony. How are you?
Good.
Good.
This case, I mean, you can't go anywhere without hearing a new thread, in this case, a new wrinkle. But let's stick to the jury deliberations here. Karen, is there a rule of thumb of how long typically juries deliberate?
Actually, there is. Among
Okay.
trial lawyers, the rule of thumb is 1 day for every week of trial. And again, that is just a rule of thumb. So in this case, it was about an 8-week jury trial. So if you apply that, then, maybe 8 days of deliberations. Again, it depends on so many things. It depends on how complicated the case is, how many counts there are that have to deliberate, how complicated the jury instructions are. And most importantly, the personality of the jurors, because if you have jurors with very strong viewpoints, you're going to have a lot of contention and you're going to have a lot of deliberation, or you could call it fighting and arguing. So all of those go into the length of the deliberations.
Another rule of thumb question here, Karen. The longer the jury is out, does that tend to favor the prosecution or the defense?
Well, the wisdom is that the longer the jury is out, the more they're thinking about reasonable doubt, which goes to the defense, right? Because if everyone thought at the very beginning, when the jurors usually get together at the beginning and take an initial vote, that's generally what happens. If there is a consensus, then they may whip through that evidence very quickly just to confirm their thoughts. But if there was a divisive kind of thing going on, then they're going to go through all the evidence, which is better for the defense. But remember Scott Peterson? They were out for over 7 days, and it was a complete guilty verdict on everything. And Casey Anthony, that case was out for a week, and she was not guilty. So those rules of thumb, they're just rules of thumb.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so in a high-profile case like this, Karen, does a jury, you think, take more time to reach a verdict because they feel like the whole country is watching, kind of the weight of the world is on their shoulders?
I absolutely think that's the case. That being said, I think jurors do a really good job. I think that generally speaking, people who serve on juries are very conscientious and they want to do a good job. They want to get it right. They don't want to walk out of there feeling like they did a disservice to anyone. But when you see those crowds, when you're coming in to serve on a jury, when you have read about the case, where you know that another jury has sat, and you know that maybe you're going to be asked by the media to explain your verdict, whatever it is, I think there is extra care that those jurors put in when they're making these deliberations.
Yeah, it was interesting. It occurs to me when you said that we reported this morning one of the Diddy Combs jurors jeopardized the running of the trial because he apparently was untruthful about where he was from, and they were saying that he lied because he wanted to be on that jury, which shows this element of bias, right?
Well, exactly. And you know what the law says, and the appellate courts have said that if a juror is deemed to have lied, the idea is that they either lied to get on the jury to convict or get on the jury to acquit. There was an agenda. Otherwise, why would a juror lie when you're sworn under oath to tell the truth on those jury questionnaires? And we've seen that. We saw that in the George Ryan trial, where we had people lie about their felony convictions and the like. And that really messes up a trial because, again, that could make the whole case a mistrial and have to go back and retry it another time.
What is the likelihood, if there is a mistrial in the first case, that the second case will also be a mistrial?
Well, in the first case, if you remember, there were 2 counts where the jury voted to acquit her, and the third count was where they were deadlocked. So, again, when you are on the jury and you know that this is a retrial, you know that 12 people did not reach a conclusion and maybe had some reasonable doubt, it seems to me that that might wire the jury to think maybe I should have reasonable doubt too, because those 12 people did. So, again, I would say that because this is a retrial, I think the chances for Karen Reed succeeding here are a little bit greater.
Follow-up question to that. In the new trial, though, isn't new evidence presented? And so, or is it not?
It can be.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's no binding effect. So like in the first trial, there was a police chief who testified, and it turns out he was saying horrible things about Karen Reed, sexual in nature, that he was talking to people who were at that party where the decedent had gone, and it was kind of shown that he was messing up the investigation. So they kept him off the stand in the second trial for good reason. So yes, you can have new evidence, you can leave off evidence, and you can maybe rectify the mistakes you made the first time.
If that doesn't happen and the mistakes were not rectified, there's another hung jury here. If you're the prosecutor, do you say, hey, third time could be a charm, or what would you foresee happening?
Well, it's like Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
The prosecutors want her convicted. This is a high-profile case, and prosecutors, as defense lawyers, are very competitive, and they don't want to lose. I think they're going to retry her. Now, will they go to her and to her lawyers and say, "Listen, let's plea bargain this down. Let's take the least stringent, sentence we can give you on these charges, and let's have you plead guilty to that and be done with it," just to try to eliminate all the possibilities. Will that go forward? I don't know, but it could happen.
You have said in the past, Karen, on the broadcast that the defense has an advantage when the case is being retried. Why do you think that is?
Well, the defense has the transcript of the trial, the first trial, meaning there is a word by word testimony of all the witnesses. And when you have that as a defense lawyer, you can make a lot of points on saying, well, on the day of the investigation, you said this. On the day of the trial, you said this, and now you're saying this. And so you use that in your cross-examination to what we call impeach the credibility, the memory of all these witnesses. And also, the longer the time goes by from the date of the crime, the more people's memories fade and they change. And so that all goes to the defense benefit when you're talking about reasonable doubt.
It feels like the options for the jurors here are both just so dramatic in nature. It's either this murder or it's this like elaborate framing and cover up. It's not like they're choosing between, oh, it was an accident or it was intentional. Like a lot of murder trials. These two options are just like wildly dramatic. Karen, in your mind, what factors, I mean, I brought up one, but like are making this such a spectacle nationally?
Well, I think that you have Karen Reed, who is an attractive woman. She's a successful woman. She's intelligent. And I think you have really dynamic lawyers. And again, you're right. It's so polarizing. I mean, this is the idea. Her defense is you guys messed this up from the beginning. You guys got the blood samples wrong. You pinned it on Karen Reed from the beginning. You said horrible things about her. You wanted to protect the police officers here who may have done something. And it has all the elements of drama here. And it really has caught fire. And it should be very interesting to see what the jury thinks.
We will be following right along. Karen Conti, always a pleasure to talk to you and kind of dive into these cases. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, we're going to take one quick break and we'll be back to wrap up Chicago Now on this Tuesday edition when we come back. All right, welcome back. Before we sign off, Joey Chestnut, greatest competitive eater in history, has announced his return in this post right here to the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest for 2025. If you will recall, Mr. Chestnut was banned last year because of a sponsorship conflict tied to a plant-based meat brand, ending his run at a 9th consecutive title. He holds 55 records for competitive eating, and he set the record at the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog competition, 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
I
So
cannot
that's
watch
seven-
that competition, that video. It grosses me out.
That's more than 7 per minute. That's more than 7 hot dogs per minute. So let's do the math. That's like 1 hot dog, more than 1 every 10 seconds.
Yikes.
So boom, 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 because he's dipping.
In the water.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, it's just unbelievable. This is happening July 4th. Nat, what competitive eating contest do you think you could win?
Sour Patch Kids.
Ooh.
I could eat the most Sour Patch Kids.
I love that
For
answer.
sure.
I was going to
Yeah.
say Krispy Kreme donuts because they kind of, you know how they kind of like does it melt in your mouth a little bit, something like. But yeah, Sour Patch Kids. I could
So
go.
good. Or maybe
Nerds.
just gummy bears.
Yeah, you could be the Joey Chestnut of Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, she's sweet and sour. I feel like a pool
Hey!
shark nobody would expect it. I half participated in an eating contest once.
What was
By that
the
I mean I was
product?
cheering on the person participating.
And
so
what
that's
was
my
the
half
food
participation.
item?
So I used to be the Danville bureau chief downstate.
Yeah.
And we oftentimes went to Indiana for